the time, cause I wanna freeze this moment, make it mine, hold you close, now my heart's wide open, when I'm with you suddenly I feel no pain, do you make it go away, do you make it close, now my heart's wide open, when I'm with you suddenly I feel no pain, do you make it go away, do you make it go away?
Opportunistic, still rubbing panels as they go together. It's folded the wing mirror in on Gerardo's car.
Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another evening here on Chaz Draycott Media, where we will watch and enjoy, I'm sure, the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. Fantastic to be back with you all once again. And, well, what a brilliant place to be again. Isn't this calendar an absolute gem? We have really spoiled ourselves this season so far. My name is Chaz Draycott, and I'm joining you from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. We are using the full road course here this evening, and the third round of the championship lies before us. Very different to the previous rounds of the championship that we had, starting out at Road Atlanta, then heading to Sebring, before then heading right down into Florida and Daytona Beach. Now then, the drivers really enjoyed the day-night transition at Sebring, so it has been decided that most of the races this season, if not all of them, will be of that sort of caliber. We will have a lot of late afternoon to sunset setting races, so we will be racing into darkness, so you can certainly look forward to a lot more of that. One thing that you can look forward to is a very, very close championship fight. These are the current championship standings at the moment. Simon Povey, top of the pile on 91 points to the 85 of Mark Baxter-Jones. Ed May, after a fantastic performance at Sebring, ends up in 4th place on 71, but then you see a big divide to the rest of the field, and then it's ridiculously close. Dan Bathy, Andrew Hopley, Oliver Carwadine, Johnny Elia, Byron Crawford, James Cummings, and Stuart Clark, all separated by just 9 points in the championship. And to put it into context, you get 50 points for a race win. So it's very, very very much things to play for and stuff. Here's the team's championship at the moment. 11 tenths Racing Team at 132 points. Tall and Taller Motorsport on 118, with H Motorsport on 108. And then again, a bit of a divide before we go further down the order to DBTRS Racing, Shark Esports, Petrol Tuga, Team SRM, Fragile Crockery on board, and Clockwork Orange Racing, hoping to get their first points of the season from tonight. There may be a bit of a shake-up in the team's championship as well, a bit further down the line, but that will be discussed and sorted between rounds. One of the main talking points, of course, of this round of the championship is it's the debut of the Aston Martin V8 Vantage. Fantastic looking and, well, fantastic sounding car. We have 4 of them in the field tonight, and as you see on the left-hand side of your screen, the 4 of them are 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Stephen Haley here in the SimSport Racing International entry, getting very sideways, and Ed May and Andy Hopley, the 2 H Motorsport drivers, have made the changeover to the Aston as well. Ed May running this black and blue livery with the Hope and Homes for Children branding on it, and Andrew Hopley running a white and blue car. John Roberts currently fastest, though, in his change to the Aston. Now, you may be thinking, tell me the Aston is OP without telling me the Aston is OP. Well, to be honest, I commentate on Pinto cars. The 2 Petrol Tuga BMWs are 7th and 8th at the moment. So what that tells me is that it's not so much that the Aston is OP, but I think it's more the fact that the Porsche just isn't as good. Top end, basically. Doesn't quite have the legs of the other cars. Here's Gary Tall in the gorgeous Tall and Taller Motorsport machine. Very, very amazing livery by Digital Motor Art, and that is a lovely, lovely long drift there by Heinz Mayer. Gets the car going again. God, doesn't that M4 sound good? Here's Simon Povey about to cross the line. He's not set a lap yet in this session, but he does eventually cross the line and get there. Although that lap didn't count, so he must have had some sort of off-track or something during that one. Yeah, you're right, Colin. Colin Wynn in the chat as well, great to see you, mate. And as well, Ryan Penny. Good evening, mate, and Porsche Sport. Always a pleasure to have you all in the chat with me. Hope you're having a good week so far. Highest placed Porsche, actually, at the moment, is James Cummings. But Colin Wynn was just complimenting Ed May's H Motorsport livery, and yeah, it does look fit, doesn't it, on the Aston Martin. There's no professional words for it. What we ought to do is go on board with it, though, and listen to the V8 rumble, eh? Now, from in here, it sounds very much like a sort of a flat 6 sort of rumble, doesn't it? It sounds a little bit high-pitched, but if we go Oh. Oh, little pop and bang as well. Danny Lee saying Daytona is one of my least liked tracks. You know what, Danny? I do kind of agree with you. I do kind of agree with you because I just don't like being on the banking on the oval and all this high speed section. It's great for some certain racing because it keeps the cars close together and it means that you can have a very, very close race. It's all about the mind games and the slipstreaming, but I don't know, there's just something about driving that part that I do not enjoy. So you're not alone in that one. You are not alone. Another talking point for tonight is that qualifying will be 20 minutes, not half an hour. We basically assessed the qualifying sessions from the first 2 rounds, and we saw that there were little to no improvements in the final 10 minutes of qualifying, and to be honest, no drivers really wanted to go out in that time, and the session really sort of dragged on, which meant that the broadcast was lacking a bit of entertainment as well. So based on all of those aspects being put together, we have decided that qualifying from this point onwards will just be a 20-minute session. Here is Paul Stout in one of the 4 11/10 Racing Team cars in the field, the Manti Racing liveried machine, number 37. He's got Stephen Haley just in front of him. You can see just how bumpy some of the infield is there as Stephen Haley sends that cone on an absolute flight. We only have a handful of McLarens left in the field now, one of which is being driven by boss man Andrew Marston. Andy, the head honcho of Sim Racing Magazine, as you see by the branding and the fact that the car is Team SRM. He's one of 3 McLarens, him, Jared Coleman in the Clockwork Orange car, and Oliver Carwadine, privateer for this season, running this, well, McLaren branded livery effectively, isn't it? The number 80 car. He is the highest placed McLaren, as you see on the left hand side, and all of the cars except the McLarens really sort of sticking together. Now this is something important for Oliver. It's practicing his pit entry, because on the banking here at Daytona there's a very wide run down to the pit entry, so people do often trip over one another on the way in, which we might see tonight if people aren't ready for others to brake and slow down a bit earlier than them. Or we may see people driving around one another and making overtaking manoeuvres. Here you go, you'll see how wide it is here. Look, Paul Goffin makes his way in. You're really meant to follow that white line all the way down, and a lot of people, they do tend to go to the left-hand side of it. But look how much there Fausto Pinto caught up to Paul Goffin as he entered the pit lane. We'll go on board with Fausto and just show you. Look, if we go on board here, you see the Porsche in front. Look, he's broken early, he's played it safe, but look at this. The amount of time that Fausto gained there. A lot of car lengths, it has to be said. That can make all the difference, especially as we do expect to have 2 pit stops this evening. Excuse me while I break the overlay. You can see Barney there dusting off the checkered flag, all of a sudden coming to a stop. And now, all of a sudden, let's see who is the first car out on track. I think it might be Stephen Haley. No, Stephen Haley's got a few cars ahead of him. Is it Johnny Elia? No, it's not Johnny Elia. He just clipped the grass on the way out, and he was just back there. Ian Hannon of Shark Esports is the first car out. So qualifying then 20 minutes as mentioned. And now the drivers will really, really crack on with this. And as you can see, the headlights already on. So everybody is going to be going straight into the night with this one. I apologise, I'm just trying to fix something here. I know that the qualifying sort of graphics at the bottom there, they do tend to clip the bottom little element there, don't they? There we go. We've moved it up. Lovely stuff. So, Ian Hannon, one of the furthest round on their sort of installation lap from this session. Shark Esports car looking very good indeed. He's got Stephen Haley behind him. And I believe the next car might be Gary Tall. It is Gary Tall in the 207. But look now, instantly onto the slipstream and up the banking we go. And look how good this looks at this time of night. And you can see now drivers want to get out of each other's way. Nobody wants to be at the front giving the slipstream. Everybody wants to be taking the slipstream but not giving it. Ian Hannon, though, he doesn't care. He's just pushing on to try and get a lap done. Now, is Gary Tall going to go around him here? Because this could make things complicated. Gary does try it, but I think, yeah, he's got to back out at this point. They both want to get into the corner as quickly as possible, but yeah, Gary maybe not quite making the right call there. He just went from a little bit further back. Hope the stream looks nice and smooth, by the way. I've just had a few stutters and frame rate drops at my end. It doesn't look the smoothest. So I hope it looks alright at your end, everybody. Stephen Haley has actually pulled out of the whole slipstreaming train and is actually now going back into the pits. Or is actually back out of the pits, sorry, I should say. So you can see people crossing the line, not setting times at the moment, but they will now be on to qualifying laps, as you see there. Ian Hannon, Gary Tall, Byron Crawford, the first three. Johnny Elia next up. Green sectors are their personal bests. White means that they have not beaten their personal best. And the black sort of graph bit that's filling up is how far round the current lap they are. It's only a Chaz, says Jack Werrell. Good to see you, mate. Steve proudly saying that the stream looks good. Thank you very much, mate. And this looks good for Gary Tall right now. He's going to compromise Ian Hannon's lap a little bit here, but Gary right now wants to just go on and crack on with his own time. We'll have to see what the benchmark is at the start of this qualifying session. He's gone up high, look. I think he's waiting. He wants more slipstream from somebody, and that somebody, I think, is Ian Hannon. To be honest with you, I think Gary maybe just getting a bit of... I've been doing a bit of recon, getting a bit of info on how good the slipstream is around that part of the circuit. Important to note as well that tonight we do not have Mark Baxter-Jones, who is second in the championship. He is not racing with us tonight. Look at Byron Crawford go there on the right-hand side. Johnny Elia did a purple sector at the end of the lap, and look at that. Tom Slater goes fastest for DBTRS. He's following on from his teammate Dan Bathy. Stuart Clark goes up to fifth with Pinto just behind him. They're displaced as Carwadine goes up there. John Roberts, fantastic. John running the Ukrainian Air Force digital camouflage this evening in support of Ukraine. But Simon Povey has displaced him at the top of the pile in the number 117 Tall and Taller Motorsport Porsche. But coming back to John Roberts, though, that car looks very, very good indeed. He did wonder whether he was going to run that livery or whether he was going to use the usual boosted paint, but I think the sort of matte effect on the Ukrainian Air Force digital camouflage looks wonderful. Steve proudly asking if Mr. Haley's going to finish without a crash this week. Well, I hope so. I really do hope so. Stephen Haley has constantly shown us fantastic pace that he's got, but he's just had the odd little incident here and there, hasn't he, that's just held him back slightly. God, that thing sounds good. Sounds absolutely wonderful, making its way down towards the long right-hander. Yeah, there are the odd frame stutters, aren't there, here and there. I've just had a quick look back at the broadcast itself. It's not the best looking, but I think I've got a lot of settings turned up since the last one, so I think maybe time to just rein it in again a little bit. Let's have a look at some of our runners that are just making their way around in the midfield. A little bit further down even is Mike Rowe in this gorgeous Gulf branded car. Gotta love the classic livery. Always the Gulf colours. Mark Baxter-Jones in the chat. Glad you could make it at least to the broadcast, Mark. We are missing you out there on circuit this evening, my friend, but it'll be interesting to see how you come back from it, Mark. If there is a deficit growth over Simon Povey. Jared Coleman pops up the times after completing his lap. He goes to 14th. James Cummings goes 9th in his Porsche as they're almost 3 wide into turn 1. Oliver Carwadine holds on to 6th at the moment in the number 80 car. But Simon Povey 3 tenths off at the moment. And well, Steve, I would get an upgrade if I could afford one, to be honest with you. Stephen Haley goes second fastest at the moment. I think my little RTX 2070 does its job. It does all right. Does its job. But 2 Aston Martins now in the top 3, with Stephen Haley going up there. He'll be happy with that one. Now, where is Ed May and where is Andy Hopley? They're just coming across the line now together. Ed May goes fastest. Ed May, much like he did at Sebring, goes fastest. The young man flying once again in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. He led quite a bit of the race at Sebring and did an amazing job in the battle, but Simon Povey pulled off an incredible strategy once again to outdo him. And now look, Andy Hopley just letting his teammate go through so he can then benefit from the slipstream on the following lap. They're going to try and work this out together. To be fair, Cameron, the airport isn't worth anything. I built it out of paper, and it's all from free templates that people can build online, so it's not worth anything, really. That's it, Mark. You've just got to wipe him out, mate. Go full Destruction Derby 2 on it, and absolutely go for it. For those that can't see the chat, Mark is basically saying that he'll have to take them all out next time he races. Edward May, though, will be really happy at the moment to be on pole position provisionally. Hopley 7th, but we know that he can improve from there. How are our BMWs getting on? João Estevez and, oh well, his teammate, actually, Fausto Pinto, has just jumped up to 7th place in the M4. And James Cummings goes 4th. Oliver Carwadine goes up into 6th. So plenty of movement. I was going to say that the 2 Petrol Tuga BMWs cannot be separated at all. But then they were. Fausto Pinto doing a great job in that number 23 car. And this is one of the best things about GT racing. You know, some of these tracks, they may not suit certain cars. And that's one of the most beautiful things about it, because you will see a bit of a difference where drivers and teams that run certain cars may just have a little bit of an advantage at certain rounds where they can just grab a few more points than where they may elsewhere. Johnny Elia is back out on track tonight. Great to have Johnny with us again. He had a bit of a nightmare at Sebring, in all honesty. He didn't have the smoothest of race meetings, but he was battling COVID at the time. I hope he has fully recovered and look forward to seeing how he can get on this evening. Currently 8th place at the moment, as you see a lot of shimmying around at the bottom of the screen with cars that are completing their laps. Ian Hannon is just heading down the back straight now in the number 7 car. He was the first one that came out of the pits. He's just taking it nice and steady through the bus stop. I think he's waiting for maybe somebody to get some slipstream from. Here's Eddie Van Halen, Mark Johnson in the Legends Racing number 44 car. He's got Stuart Clark just behind him as they power their way down the back straight. I actually saw a couple of these Porsche 718 GT4s at Alton Park yesterday, and I tell you what, they make a right racket. I've even been on a ride in one. I was very lucky to be driven around Donington Park in the wet by Charles Clark, who was racing in the, I think it was the Cayman Islands Porsche Sprint Challenge or whatever it was last year, or the year before even. And I was lucky enough to get a ride round there, and it was phenomenal, but I never remember it making as much of a racket as they did yesterday. They've got a very mid-tone noise about them. Where is Andy Hopley? As these two cross the line, we'll keep an eye on their laps. Stuart Clark and Mark Johnson. Johnson improves, but stays 18th. Here's Andy Hopley. He's going to be getting slipstream off his teammate, is he not? I don't actually see Ed in front of him, to be fair. No, I don't. Well, he is there, but he's trying to go around Mike Rowe, actually. Ed May did a purple sector on that lap, and he goes even faster. Ed May 1:32.52.3 and a 1:52.5 for Hopley. Puts the 2H Motorsport Aston Martins on the front row of the grid. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. We're just over halfway through the session, so things can still definitely change, but what a lovely sort of mixed up grid we've got behind that. I mean, James Cummings is doing great in 4th position. Oliver Carwadine right up there in 7th. John Roberts in 6th. We've got one of the BMWs in the top 10 as well. This is what I love about GT racing. You get such a mix of results from the cars at certain circuits. It's great, great fun. Tom Slater's going well. He's in 8th at the moment in the DBTRS car. His teammate Dan Bathy is in 11th. I must say Dan's done a wonderful job of designing some real-world Porsche Cup car liveries recently. I was lucky enough to be at Porsche Centre Chester last Friday, revealing Seb Morris's car for the season. And it was an absolute peach, and he told me that Dan had actually designed the livery. He powers his way across the line now, then looking to get into the top 10 on the first 5 rows of the grid. And he does not with that one that time round, I'm afraid. Gary Tall is looking for his break here in this one as Povey goes fastest, 52.088. Simon Povey says thank you very much and manages to displace Ed May and Andy Hopley from that front row. Well, at least he displaces Andy Hopley from the front row. But Gary Tall getting no slipstream at the moment. You've got to wonder whether we'll see him and Simon Povey reset to the pit lane. And then come out and work together. Jared Coleman's off the road. Paul Stout was also off the road. And so too is Oliver Carwadine. I think there might have been some sort of issue here. Jared Coleman. Oh, Oliver Carwadine loses it. And Jared Coleman loses it. Paul Stout there going off in avoidance, effectively. So multiple cars off the road. Where is Gary Tall? Oh, Jared Coleman's still off, actually. Mr. Hazelton is very well, actually, thank you, Gary. Yeah, Colin. I'm reading the screen. Yeah, Mr. Hazelton's great. We had a really good laugh that night. It was a fantastic event. I was spoilt, completely rotten, and it was a lot of fun. It was wonderful to be there with the guys again. But Carl he's looking good as well. Carl, he was talking to me about the ketogenic diet that I've been doing, and basically when we first discussed the fact that I was going to go and reveal the car, it was actually him that was saying how good keto is. He's been on it as well for a little bit now, well, quite a bit, longer than me as well, actually, and he's looking really good for it. It was really good to see him again and see him doing so well. We've got cars sort of dotted about all over the track, stopped. Stephen Kershaw is just outside of the top 10 at the moment in his Martini branded Porsche. The 247 car not quite into the top 10 yet, but look how close the times are though. I mean, around a circuit that's nearly 2 minutes a lap, we've got 2 seconds or a little bit more just covering the top 17. And that is some ruddy good going, I'd say. So, what have we got? Who's moving and shaking at the moment? We've got the 4 Aston Martins inside the top 6 as Stephen Haley is up there. Just trying to see who we've not really had a look at yet. Heinz Mayer in this gorgeous Orris Digital fragile crockery on board BMW. His teammate Ralph Meyer is in the 990 718. Andrew Soper at the moment, unfortunately, has not put a lap time in, but he's only done 2 laps to the 6 that a lot of other drivers have done. So I think he's just trying to get on with it from this point. This is the Clockwork Orange Racing team, both of them together on track. There's just been a bit of shenanigans here with David Patching and Mike Rowe, who have both come to strife. I think maybe just a bit of contact into the International Horseshoe, and Andrew Soper has gone off the road, I'm afraid. I think he's lost the back end out of the hairpin at the bottom there. Here's Stuart Clark. The Rusty's Roasts branded machine, the 996. Looks very, very good indeed. And he's got another white and red car behind him. Johnny Elia currently holds on to 10th place. Johnny trying to use maybe a bit of a slingshot down the hill. We're 15 minutes through qualifying already. Nearly 16 minutes, in fact, so not long now. Only a couple of laps left, really, because it's nearly 2 minutes a lap. And that is loud across there, isn't it? But great to see. I made a bit of a camera pack for this track myself. Just sort of edited the angles and the field of view of a lot of the cameras. And the depth of field as well, so you get a bit of blur in the background, which is nice. These two 11/10 cars now, Byron Crawford and Johnny Elliott, working together to maybe just shave a few tenths off here and there with slipstream. Simon Povey, though, has had one of the pole positions this season. He was on pole at Road Atlanta. Ed May was then on pole at Sebring with Simon Povey second. Simon finished second in the first race and first in the second race. Now look, Simon Povey there with Paul Stout behind him. Gary Toll moves up the order, but only to 20th place. As whoa, Paul Stout runs deep there. Now, what can Gary Toll do here? Because he's not got long to get this done now. He's behind his teammate Simon Povey. He's going to get a lot of slipstream round the back end of the circuit, and that's going to make all the difference for him. Just watching how smooth he is with these inputs. Now here comes the slipstream. And it's going to be a lot of slipstream, although to be fair, he's going to have to build up to it as this goes on. There's, whoa, clipping the wall on the right hand side there, you know. I'm not sure that it'll still count, you know, after that. Let's have a look what the time does, though. Let's see what they've got. And it's only enough for 12th place for Gary Toll. Only enough for 12th. Apologies, while we were watching that lap, I was trying to just fix something in the background as well. Seems like no matter what I fix, things still break. But that's software. Still, Gary will be hoping to then do another quick lap as of now, because the session is about to come to an end. This is Oliver Carwadine on the back of the 23 car Fausto Pinto. Oliver looking to make it to the inside before the bus stop. No, gets out of it. The two BMWs are right together. Who's going to cross the line next? Andy Hopley is about to cross the line with Ed May. Can these guys put themselves up to the top of the times? No, 52 thousandths of a second for Ed May. Can't quite make the difference. Paul Goffin is next to cross the line. Then there's David Patching as well. Goffin doesn't improve. Neither does Patching, I don't think. James Cummings has also been across the line. He hasn't improved. Byron Crawford is next up. John Roberts will stay in 6th. Where does Byron go? He stays 14th. João Estevez doesn't move up either. Neither does Stephen Haley. A bunch of drivers all staying where they are. Ralph Mayer is going to be one of the next ones across the line in his Porsche. Simon Povey with a purple Sector 2 on this lap. So really flying, but don't think it's going to be enough, because he's not beating his personal best in any other sectors. The white sectors are the ones they've completed where they've not improved. There is Ralph Mayer across the line. No improvement. Actually, no, he does improve, actually. But 26th place is all he can muster in this session. Mike Rowe crosses the line. He does not improve. Andrew Soper does improve at the end of the session. Simon Povey crosses the line, and it's a 152.861 for him. But look at that. Gary Toll eventually improves at the end of the session, right at the death, goes up to 6th place, and he flashes the lights to say thank you very much. Paul Goffin's done a purple Sector 3 on this lap. A Team SRM car absolutely going by the look of it. He's done a personal best Sector 2 as well. So Paul is making the most of this car right now. We'll see what the improvement is. Not sure he's going to have any slipstream here though, so it might be that he has to wait for it. He might have to just wait till the race, to be honest with you. across the line he goes. The 53.8, and he improves to 17th place at least. He did actually gain a position. Just looking down there to see if there are any improvements. No, Mark Johnson has crossed the line. Whoa, hello. That was Fausto Pinto off the road. João Estevez also off the road. The two BMWs may be planning some sort of media day shoot. But that is it. Everybody has completed their times as far as I know. Actually, Mike Rowe. Mike Rowe is just about to come across the line. Well, no, he's aborting the lap. He is off into the pit lane. So, qualifying done with, and it is another pole position and another championship point for Simon Povey. That takes him to a grand total of 92 points, which means that even before the race gets underway, he has a 7-point advantage over Mark Baxter-Jones. So now the cars will take to the grid. I'll have a wonderful scenic shot of this, as you see there. The massive spread of this circuit. All of the fans lining the grandstand as well. And this is how your grid, when Chaz doesn't break the overlay, will look. 117 and 107 on the front row. That's Simon Povey and Edward May. Andy Hopley and James Cummings are on row 2, with Stephen Haley and Gary Tall. A fantastic row 3. Really exciting stuff from that one, I'm sure. John Roberts and Oliver Carwadine are 7th and 8th, with Stuart Clark and Tom Slater rounding out your top 10. Next up is Johnny Elia, with Fausto Pinto getting on to row 6 in 12th place. Dan Bathy is 13th ahead of Byron Crawford, with Stephen Kershaw and Mark Johnson on row 8. Then we have Paul Goffin and Paul Stout, making it an all-Paul row 9. Ian Hannon lines up alongside João Estevez on row 10, with Heinz Mayer and Andrew Marston 21st and 22nd. Jared Coleman is 23rd ahead of David Patching in 24th, and they're followed by Mike Rowe, Ralph Mayer and Andrew Soper, who lines up at the back of the grid. So we're only waiting for one more car to take to the grid, and that was Andy Hopley. Although actually I think we're waiting for Andrew Soper at the back of the pack as well to just jump on, and then we will be able to get this race underway. We have a wonderful, wonderful shot of the cars here ready to line up. If we look a bit further down the order, you can see them there all ready to go. It's a bit of a nerve-wracking time, this moment in a race, to be fair, when you've got to just wait and wait and wait to see what happens with a rolling start. I apologise because the frame rate will be absolutely dog for maybe the first half a lap here, with all of the cars rendered and all of the effects that I've got turned on. It does look pretty though, doesn't it? I hope you all agree that it looks very nice this evening. But Simon Povey and Ed May once again facing off from the front row. The two of them were on the front row at Sebring. Ed was ahead of Simon though, and then at Road Atlanta, Ed was right behind Simon on the grid as he started from 3rd. Andy Hopley could be a big spoiler in the pack here as he tries to help his teammate. Watch out for James Cummings as well. And you've also got Stephen Haley. He's always a fast starting driver. And then Gary Tall wants to get some good points to help his teammate in this one. Gary so far this season on just 27 points, so he's going to be hoping for a lot more here. The pace car pulls in, and round 3 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge from Daytona is underway, and listen to that. Looks like a nice tidy start from Ed May. Tries to go around the outside of Simon Povey into turn 1. Not sure if he's going to make it stick though, because Simon's going to have the inside line all the way around it. Looking a bit further back, it seems like everybody has made it through. No, they've not. Heinz Mayer is around and in the barrier, or he's at least near the barrier. One of the Petrol Tuga BMWs involved in that. That's João Estevez. But Ed May's gone for the lead. Ed May went down the inside. Byron Crawford's come off. Oh, there's a big pile-up on the inside of the International Horseshoe. Oliver Carwadine involved in that as well. Ian Hannon is off the road. But up at the front, we need to stick with this because Ed May has gone down the inside of Simon Povey and taken the race lead. So now he's in a bit of a sandwich. It's a tall and taller motorsport sandwich with the H Motorsport cars as the bread. But what that does mean is there's a huge gap in the field. Look, where Fausto Pinto is, there's a big hole in the pack back to Stephen Kershaw, which means that the slipstream ahead of them is all completely broken. Let's have a look at what happened with Heinz Meyer and João Esteves. Oh, João's just squeezed him to the inside, unfortunately. And then, actually, that's all the drama that there was, to be honest with you. Into the hairpin. Ian Hannon went off. Oh, actually, Ian went off of his own accord. Oh, he made a bit of contact with... Who was that, actually? He made a bit of contact with. It might have been Stephen Kershaw. It was just the tiniest of taps there. We'll have another look at it. We'll go to the chopper cam. So there's the initial incident. Yeah, unfortunately, João just didn't leave the room down the inside there. And then Carwadine got stuck up in this. So Dan Bathy's behind him. Oh, just down the inside. Johnny outbrakes himself, and then the two teammates get stuck in that. Byron Crawford has a bit of damage, but nothing too much to worry about. Here's the fight at the front. Sorry, I said Byron Crawford had damage. He doesn't. He got held up as Povey goes deep into turn one, and he's around. There was contact with Andy Hopley, and that means Stephen Haley's gone for the race lead. Look at that. Ed May drops down to second position. Stephen Kershaw's dropping down as well. He's had dramas at turn one. Whoa, Stephen, that rejoin, son. And Heinz Meyer is having more trouble at turn one as well. Wow, it's a bit chaotic, this one. But the Aston Martins all at the front of the field. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Stephen Haley, Ed May, John Roberts, and Andy Hopley. But that was a big, big moment for the championship there. Simon Povey going off. Let's have a look at what happened. So they've all gone deep into turn one. Hopley didn't know he was there, to be fair to him. I think Hopley expected him to go, well, the usual line. Simon jumps back on. And oh wow, there's a lot of problems there. Oh, Stephen Kershaw back on the road, and Mike Rowe gets hit by Heinz Meyer, and I think Heinz has let him back through. He has, yeah. Good sportsmanship by Heinz. He's let him back in front. But here comes the slipstreaming. Ed May goes in front of Stephen Haley. He's got John Roberts in there as well. It's 4 Aston Martins for the lead, though. Tell me the Aston's OP without telling me it's OP. Here we go then. Andy Hopley's got 1.1 seconds to the highest placed Porsche behind him, which is Tom Slater. There he is back there with James Cummings and Dan Bathy and Gary Toll and Stuart Clark in tow. But so far, it's all Aston. John Roberts there in the boosted motorsport machine. Goes one way. Andy wants to get forward here and help his teammate Ed May. Look at the run that he's got there. That's incredible around the outside. Don't go down the middle. Don't go down the middle, Andy. They all try and get it stopped. Stephen's on the outside. They all run a bit deep, to be fair to them. John Roberts is down the inside of Stephen Haley. Comes across. They get very, very close through the squiggly bit. But Ed May holds on to the lead. That's the important thing for him right now. Stephen Haley tries to go deep down the inside. John Roberts has to compromise his line and run wide on the exit. That means Andy Hopley is now stuck on his right-hand side. Fantastic racing, but all of this means that these guys behind, Tom Slater, James Cummings and Dan Bathy, 2 of them DBTRS cars, importantly, could get right in on the action. It is becoming just one train now, and this is the thing. This is where the Porsches will then come in strong, because with the slipstream, they can stick with these Aston Martins, no problem. So as long as you're in a Porsche and you stay in a train, it doesn't matter what car it is in front of you, you will be able to stay with it as Dan Bathy gets a little bit squirrely on the exit coming on to the banking. Look at that shot, though. I love a shot like this from Daytona, especially on the nose camera. Look at that. These conditions are very, very entertaining indeed, are they not? We've still got a bit of light in the air, so we can still sort of tell who the cars are, but to be honest with you, I might end up doing this as late afternoon, then dialing it back an hour, because we are going to be under lights very, very early here. A bit further down the order, Jared Coleman has gained 11 spots. He's the biggest mover in the field so far. He's having a fantastic race. He's got Johnny Elia, Byron Crawford and Oliver Carwadine, the 3 drivers that were stuck in that incident earlier, all piling in behind him. Is off the road has gone Andrew Soper. He's had a moment at the bus stop. Comes back on though. And Simon Povey has been into the pits. I believe Simon had damage. He is 42 seconds off the race lead right now. There's Ed May, side by side with Haley. Oh, there's big contact behind John Roberts and Andy Hopley. John Roberts is in the wall. Andy Hopley, I believe he's waiting for him. Oh, man. Here's what happened. Andy's gone to get a cutback. Oh, he's just got a bit too hot on the brakes. Now, I've heard that the Aston is a bit of a nightmare on the brakes, to be fair. I think John Roberts did go to get going again. But I think the car's broken. I think the front left is broken. That car is leaning a lot. And unfortunately, John out of the race. Andy did wait to give him some positions back, but now he has dropped into 14th. So what was looking like an absolute walkover for the Astons is definitely not the case now. But look at that in the background. Ed May very close to the wall there as Stephen Haley fights with him. Ed May, the young man, has been absolutely on fire. Oh, John, I'm absolutely gutted for you, mate. Absolutely gutted. It was looking like a fantastic race up front. Strong points opportunity. But we all know how much of a nightmare turn one can be. And look at that, Stephen Haley. He's backing out a little bit here, waiting for Ed to go in front. The two DBTRS cars are trying to just annoy James Cummings right now as Slater has gone from the front of this to the back of this pack, you know. And all of a sudden, Stuart Clark is on the back of this as well. Then Gary Toll and Fausto Pinto in the BMW. They're all starting to work together here. Let's have a look at the speed that the BMW gets up to down here. Well, there's 250Ks, and he changes up at over 250Ks. He's not getting much slipstream from here, is Fausto, but it's still certainly helping the car. Just missing out on 270Ks as we get into turn one. Still very fast indeed. A fantastic train of cars, though, it has to be said, that lie before us. But Ed May is cleared off from Stephen Haley by about a second right now, and it's going to be more than that as Haley goes very deep on the brakes. The gap is now 1.8 seconds to Ed May, but look at all this rabble behind. Dan Bathy, by the way, has gained 10 places in this race. He started 13th on the grid, and now he's up to P3. He's having a hell of a drive so far. Who else has gained a lot? Jared Coleman has still gained 12. Ralph Mayer has gained 10 places as well. Andrew Marston's having a good battle with Ian Hannon. These two are side by side. Shark Esports car side by side with Team SRM's McLaren. Andrew just lets him go down the inside. Doesn't want to fight too hard through that section. But two big hitters from the championship then already having issues. Simon Povey down in 25th place as João Estevez has gone around in the BMW. Not sure if he got a bit of help here. But he certainly... Oh, he's just got a bit deep. And, loops it across. He was very lucky there was a gap in the traffic there. Very lucky there was a gap in the traffic, to be honest with you. Dan Bathy, though, like Colin Wynn says, this is the Dan Bathy we know. Fantastic performance so far. Now, good news is John Roberts has taken his fast repair, so he is back out on track. Good to see. John's still pushing on. Ed May, though, fastest lap of the race by Ed without any slipstream, a 152.8. So when he's not battling away and he's not got people all over him, he is absolutely on it, is this boy right now. It's fantastic to see. Stuart Clark has gone up into third. Suddenly, Dan Bathy... Oh no, where's Dan Bathy gone? He's dropped to the back of this train. James Cummings went past Dan. Look at this, he's going to get absolutely mugged here. Or is that a slowdown? Look at that. Oh, Dan. Oh, Dan. Oh, that is painful. Oh, look at that, Stuart Clark down the inside of James Cummings. That was very decisive. Very, very decisive. Simon Povey, 25th and on his own at the moment. He's got about 3 seconds to Heinz Mayer, so he's going to start getting some slipstream soon. And then hopefully for his sake, moving forward. But we're only 10 minutes into this race, a sixth of the way through. Can you believe it? So much drama and so much entertainment. Ollie Wilson in the chat asking, I've just joined the stream, what happened to Povey? Well, there was big contact down at turn one. Number of drivers running deep, and Povey sort of bounced off the side of one of the Aston Martins. think it was Andy Hockley that he bounced off the side of. And then not long after, unfortunately, Andy going into the side of John Roberts. Andy did wait to give him positions back, which is why he's down in 13th place right now. But John had to tow the car, unfortunately. There are battles absolutely everywhere, by the way, everybody. That is where everybody is on track at the moment, so it's quite spread out. There's 3 main groups, but 8th place back, Johnny Elia is all over the back of Stuart Clark. Stephen Haley coming into the pits. Very interesting. Stephen Haley pits very early here after only 10 minutes, 11 minutes. Listen to that Aston Martin pop and bang. Not quite sure what's happened there with Stephen Haley. Maybe he's just trying a different pit stop strategy. Maybe he's pitting very early just to see if he can then do just some long stints to the end rather than trying to calculate his fuel last minute. We'll have to see. That means Ed May's got a 6.4 second lead now over James Cummings and just about everybody that's following on. That doesn't really represent it, does it? We go to the left rear. There's a few more cars in view. And now it was a stop and go penalty for Stephen Haley, so that's going to drop him down even further. Further than your regular pit stop, I should add. I know saying that a stop and go is going to drop you down is, well, pointing out the obvious, isn't it? Got a sort of 11-tenths battle going on here. We've got a few of them involved in this. Oliver Carwadine in the McLaren, just ahead of Andy Hockley's Aston Martin, and then Paul Stout and Jared Coleman in all of this as well. This is the view from onboard Jared. Listen to the McLaren go, it's fantastic. Really revs high, doesn't it, the McLaren? Sounds fantastic, I love it, absolutely love it. I remember the fantastic shots that we had on board at Sebring with Ed May when he was chasing down Simon Povey. It was such a joy to watch. And again, you get that big clicking noise as you change down again. But look at the train in front. Johnny Elia stuck right in the middle of it all. And Stephen Haley has come out in 25th position. He's a minute off these guys right now. That is absolutely gutting for Stephen Haley. We do have incident point limits in this championship, so if you get 20 incident points, then you get a drive-through penalty. 30 incident points, and you get disqualified on the spot. There's contact, and it's Byron Crawford, Stuart Clark. Oh, it's a horrible, horrible, horrible moment. Jared Coleman and Byron Crawford are right together. Andy Hopley's caught up in that as well. Oh, everybody's got to make their way through. Paul Goffin does it very well. Oh no, we've had another car off. Oh, Stuart Clark's decided to... Nope, that's the end of that for Stuart Clark. What on earth? What on earth? So Stuart Clark's down the inside of Byron Crawford. He turns him. Oh, and Paul Stout absolutely drills Stuart Clark. Stuart Clark eventually pulls the car over. Andy Hopley went back to the pits after that. We need to have a look again. So Andy Hopley, from where he is contact in front. Oh, he hits the back of Elia, and look at that. Stout hits the pair of them. Jared Coleman goes flying in. And then what happens here to Byron Crawford? Because it sounded like there was more contact off on the right. Oh, was it somebody even further back? Not sure. Didn't see any more cars involved. Maybe somebody hit Hopley's car, but, well, it has all kicked off at turn one. It's been a real Achilles heel for these drivers tonight. Not for this lad, though. Flipping heck. Ed May on an absolute mission at the minute. He's 6.6 seconds clear of James Cummings. And he is flying. Oh, we've had an issue for Paul Stout. Paul Stout is off the road. Oh, and he's off big time. Whoa. What on earth has caused that? So he's got Goffin next to him. Oh, whoa. Now, Stout already had damage, but Goffin moves around a little bit as he goes high, and then Well, Drill's pulsed out off the road, I'm afraid. Wow. So James Cummings is car 2, P2 at the moment. This has certainly opened it up for a lot of others, hasn't it? I mean, we've had Simon Povey, Stephen Haley, Andrew Hopley, all off and out. Andrew Hopley is still in the pits. John Roberts, Stephen Haley, and Simon Povey are all still circulating. Povey, 17th place at the moment. But this is the real battle going on. Tom Slater, Dan Bathy and Gary Toll trying to chase down James Cummings. And then they have 7 seconds to Ed May. Ed has been in a class of his own so far. We do tend to expect pit stops around 25 minutes into the race. So we will be having 2 pit stops tonight. And here comes the slipstreaming battle. Look at that, the 2 DBTRS cars making their way around James Cummings. But how long will that last? Because it's all a bit of a game of who can fuel save and when at this point. Because you do get a massive advantage from the slipstreamers. Oh, Dan Bathy goes a little bit deep. James Cummings has got pressure there from Gary Toll. Good to see Gary getting stuck back in this fight. Paul Stout has come back out of the pit lane. He's got going again. Stephen Kershaw is also back on track after he had a moment earlier. But Andy Hopley still in the pits. So too is Stuart Clark. But Gary Toll has got a front row seat here for this battle. We've also got a battle going on here with Jared Coleman. Oh, that looked like a bit of a touch there with Ian Hannon. That was through turn 1, the Clockwork Orange car. Just having a bit of contact. Jared tries to go a bit deeper into the next corner. Simon Povey's just behind this in 15th place. With Ralph Mayer just ahead of it. Simon, though, continues to charge on. So Tom Slater is now second, ahead of Dan Bathy and James Cummings. Stephen Kershaw has, unfortunately, stopped again on this lap. He's just lost the back end. Oh, it just goes around onto... Hey, I'll tell you what, it was nice to drift around that cone, though. There you go, look at that. It's a lovely display from Stephen Kershaw. But unfortunately, he won't have wanted that. That doesn't help his race. So here's a great battle then for the top few spots. We'll stick with this for a little bit to see how this pans out. Dan Bathy moves over to the right to get slipstream from his teammate. That will let James Cummings and Gary Toll down the inside, but they actually dip down low to get a bit of a slingshot. Dan tries to run all the way around the outside of Tom Slater. He's way, way off. He's almost on the beach, almost in the airport. Comes back on though, gets the run. I've just noticed that Dan Bathy has a yellow rear wing and Tom Slater has a red rear wing underneath. So you know who you're chasing. I like that. Those little details make the difference. James Cummings gets slightly alongside as they come out of the International Horseshoe. Down into the second long right hairpin here. Hard onto the brakes. Nice and cautious. Great racing so far, though. Oh, that sounded like a car around. It's David Patching. David Patching has had a spin. That was through turn 1. It was just off the back of our camera. And the slipstreaming resumes near the front. Gary Toll now. 5th place. Chester's Body Shop is going to be busy tomorrow. Yes, you are right. Definitely right, Ryan. Isn't Daytona fantastic at night? Gary Toll can see James Cummings moving around all over the back of Dan Bathy. 12 places gained by the way for Ralph Mayer. He's doing a really, really good job. Gary a little bit hesitant on the throttle there, making sure that he's got a good slingshot out of there to have the run around the banking. He might just be saving fuel at this point, you know. He might just pit when the other guys do and just have less fuel to put in, maybe save a bit of time in the pits. We'll have to see. He's coming down now, actually. Gary Toll comes into the pits, so he decides that he doesn't want to wait behind these guys. He wants to get in the pits as soon as possible. That is the pit entry line there with the little green cone next to it. Here's another train a bit further back. Byron Crawford, Jared Coleman and Ian Hannon in this. And Simon Povey as well. Trying to go through the middle is Simon Povey. And, well, if it was anybody else, I think we'd be a bit scared and worried. But Simon Povey makes it work somehow. Gets a bit of slipstream off Byron Crawford now. Side by side with Ian Hannon. Lovely. There was a little bit naughty by Simon there. Nearly made contact with the front of Ian. But look at that. 3 places gained as easy as that. Thank you very much. Ian Hannon decides to try the same on Byron Crawford. Doesn't quite work. Or does it? Jared Coleman's going to have a look down the inside as well. Is he not? Oh, you could hear Ian stamping on the brakes there to try and get that thing stopped. Jared Coleman's on his left-hand side. Ralph Mayer's got a good view of this as well. That was a great bit of driving, though, by Simon Povey, it has to be said. Jared tries to cut off the nose of Ian Hannon. There's a tap, and he's around. Oh, I just squeezed him to the apex a little bit too much, and whoa! João Estevez in avoidance. Sees an accident, stamps on the brakes, and around he goes. So, only a few drivers have made pit stops so far. I'll show you the gaps and so on. Oh, sorry, who's made those stops on the left. You can see Gary Toll came back out in 16th place. Simon Povey came out in 10th, but his pit stop was only about 6 seconds, whereas Gary Toll's was 23. So Simon Povey may be out of sync with pit stops here. We'll have to wait and see. Interesting thing to look at would be the top speeds of these cars. But then again, look, you can see there that it's not much that really displays a big difference. Number of cars coming into the pits though. Ed May, James Cummings, Tom Slater, Dan Bathy, Fausto Pinto, who did 274 kilometers an hour in that BMW during this race. But here is the pit party. Everybody makes their way in, and oh no, Tom Slater's missed his box a little bit. Just overshoots it. Ed May is there somewhere. He's just behind that wall. There he is, you can see him there. And after starting second on the grid on the front row, Ed will be getting going, well, hopefully, any second now, because here comes Simon Povey. Look at this. Simon Povey, after all of that, goes back into the race lead. But how long will that stand for? Because look at that. He's gone in the distance right now. We know how fast Simon is, but he's been getting slipstream where the leaders have not. But Ed May's still got a good gap over the other guys. Gary Toll is also overtaking a bunch of drivers at this point. He's got a good bunch of them coming out of the pit lane too. Can he get the run on them? Let's see. Go on board. There's Slater to his left. Slater manages to just get the car in front. Gary goes a little bit deep just to try and put some pressure on. Dan Bathy's got a good 1.5 second gap over these guys as well. But right now, as of this moment, Simon Povey is in the lead of this race. I didn't think I'd be saying that again at all over the course of tonight. We're near the halfway point though, and the extra pit stops could really prove vital. John Roberts is moving back up the order as well. He's up to 19th position. You get points all the way down to 20th spot in this championship, so John has got himself back into the points. He just needs a bit more forward progress, I think. Out of the big hitters that we lost before, Andrew Hopley is still in the pits, unfortunately, so he will not be continuing. Stephen Haley is up to 11th in his Aston Martin. Oh, back end stepping out a bit there for Stephen as he comes back onto the oval. He's got Paul Goffin in front of him. Paul's had 7 places gained so far. Fantastic drive from him. Makes his way into the top 10. Ralph Mayer as well has gained 12 spots in his Porsche. He's having a really, really good race. Biggest mover in the field. Dan Bathy, though, really moving at the moment. Definitely one of my top drivers of this race so far, it has to be said. Both him and his teammate Tom Slater getting very squirrely there together. They've got Gary Toll in the mix, so they can't rest And look at that, Fausto Pinto behind as well. Another one of my drivers of the day. Definitely in 6th place in the BMW. Now, barely anybody chose the BMW at the start of this championship because they thought it would be absolutely awful, and they were saying it's got lots of suspension issues, but Fausto proving right now that when you're on a circuit that's got a lot of top speed requirements, this BMW is a beast of a thing. He's doing a great job at holding on here in 6th. He's got a bit of a gap back to James Cummings as well. You'll love to see it. Petrol Tuga car going well. Stephen Haley has just got past Paul Goffin to make his way into the top 10. They're having a great battle about it, though, as Paul tries to come back at him. Jakub Szymanski in the chat. Good to see you, mate. Paul Goffin's got Mark Johnson and then Byron Crawford just behind him here. But yeah, Fausto is having a great race. Started 12th, up 6 spots into 6th. That BMW has been a rocket so far. Further down the order, we have this battle going on. Andrew Soper in 20th place. He's got Mike Rowe and Dave Patching behind him. And Heinz Mayer in another BMW, having a front row seat for it, although he's gone a little bit deep there. You can see the multicoloured bunch of Porsches in front, and Simon Povey is in the pits. Simon Povey enters the pit lane. And that was, well, inevitable. We knew he'd have to pit at some point. Ed May re-inherits the race lead. And then we've got this. Tom Slater, Dan Bathy, Gary Toll. And look at the BMW of Fausto Pinto around the outside. Is he going to make that work? Oh, no, there's big contact. There's big contact, and Gary Toll goes spinning, 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 and spinning away through turn 1. It was not really necessary. But Fausto saw the gap up the outside. Oh, man. Well, there was definitely a car's width there when he went up to make it. If I'm honest with you. And he still made the corner as well, and he still went around the outside of Dan Bathy. Oh, there was a bit of a tap there, though. He did squeeze down to the inside, but I think that's just after it had happened, you know. Gary Toll will be raging with that one. But look, there was a car's width there when he started, but then the two of them just sort of come together. I'm not sure if Gary wanted to close the gap off or if Fausto was just worried about hitting the wall, but they did just eventually morph into each other. Fausto then did squeeze Dan Bathy at the apex, but that doesn't make any difference to what happened to Gary Toll. Somehow Fausto carries on after that. He took a big old hit, I'm sure. But that was a very, very frustrating moment for Gary, that's sure. That's for sure, I should say. So Fausto now finds himself in 4th position after that. Big scrape and a dent down the left-hand side of the car. We're nearing the halfway point now. Johnny Elia just in front of Oliver Carwadine for now. Oh, Johnny. Oh, no. Oh, how did you not hit the wall there, mate? Johnny's now got to do a bit of a spin to get the car back around. Fausto Pinto still using the speed of this BMW to go up into 2nd position in this race. Aside from what just happened, what a great drive he's having. No matter what happened, you know, you cannot deny that he is having a fantastic race. Fausto Pinto overall. Up to 2nd in the BMW. Looks like such an unlikely GT car against all of these other Porsches, McLarens and Aston Martins. And he's doing a magical job. Now, further back then, Johnny Elia has found himself in a fight now. He's got Stephen Haley in front of him, but Mark Johnson and Paul Goffin are glued together with Byron Crawford in this one as well. Harder to the brakes they go. Mark tries to squeeze Goffin to the inside, keeps him nice and tight on the curb, gets a great run, and look at that, Byron Crawford taking full advantage of the run that you can get around the outside of the International Horseshoe. And through he goes. Andrew Marston's got John Roberts for company now. There's nothing actually camouflaging about the Ukrainian camouflage on that Aston Martin. There's nothing subtle about the way it sounds either. But John just trying to get further up into the points and make up a bit of ground. But wow, what an important night for the championship this could be. We've lost a number of big hitters. Some of the fastest guys in the series are much further down the order. John trying it around the outside of the hairpin on Andrew Marston. Nothing there. Just on the gravel a bit, but he'll be on the inside now for the next corner. He gives plenty of room over on the right-hand side. Nice close racing, and through goes John Roberts. Simon Povey is 7th. There's just a fact for you. Simon Povey, even after his pit stop, which was 23 seconds long, is in 7th place. So he may be out of sync with the pit stops, but he has somehow clawed this back to be in a competitive position inside the top 10. Here's Ian Hannon with Ralph Mayer and João Estevez just behind. Getting plenty of slipstream from these two Porsches in front as they all dice around together. There's a lot of weaving and moving around going on. Oh, he tries to go low. Oh, no, that's very naughty. That I do not agree with, I'm afraid. By João Estevez, you should not really go below the yellow line to overtake somebody. Ian Hannon did all he was allowed to do and moved down to block it. I think João Estevez should give that back, personally. What do you think in the chat? I think Simon Povey does have to stop again, yeah. I'm pretty sure he will have to, because the car can do about 20 to 25 minutes. And, I mean, on a circuit like this where you're on full throttle as much as you are, to be honest with you, I don't think that he'll be able to make it to the end. He won't be able to do half an hour. Whoa, Stephen Haley's really pushing that Aston Martin through that corner exit. John Roberts has been back into the pits as well. He's completed another 17-second pit stop. Quite a bit shorter than what a lot of others have been doing. So I'm intrigued to see where that can get him in the race. But this is the big fight at the moment for 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th. And it's Stephen Haley, Johnny Elliott, Mark Johnson and Byron Crawford. Back down the straight we go. And look at that, look at the slipstreaming going on here. Big amounts of slipstreaming, I should say. I see we're losing just a couple of frames here at the moment. Not quite sure what's going on, but looks like we're on a bit of an internet blip for just a second. So apologies for that there. Looks like it's sorted itself out now anyway. I think we just lost a couple of frames down the straight, that's all. Johnny Elliott and Stephen Haley having a great battle, although Stephen's gone deep. Pushes it in a little bit too far. Now he's side by side with Mark Johnson. Just about makes it through. Whoa, bounces in his way through the kink. You've got to love that. Defending from Mark, who's trying to defend from Byron Crawford. And then Paul Goffin's still in touch with this, you know. He could very much catch up with these guys again with a bit of slipstream. Top end of the field, though. Fausto Pinto and Tom Slater side by side again as they go into the bus stop. Fausto makes Tom compromise his line. Dan Bathy and James Cummings waiting in the wings. Ed May, though, 18 seconds clear of these boys, and that is without slipstream. That's just how much these guys can actually slow each other down by giving one another the slipstream all the time. Incredible, isn't it? Fantastic racing so far tonight, though, it must be said. It's been a lot of fun. May have been controversial for the championship, but what's a good championship without a bit of drama? Stephen Haley comes back into the pits then for his second stop, 25 minutes from the end, and that, for me, looks like he was speeding into the pits there. Andrew Soper, I'm afraid, has had a problem. This is down, getting onto the banking, just over rotates the rear end. Now, I'm not sure if anybody could confirm for me what the pit lane speed entry... Oh, we can't quite see Stephen's dash, and I'm not going to go on cockpit cam and look from his eyes. But look. That sounds to me like he was going a little bit faster than you should have been there, Stephen. Now, don't forget, he did have a drive-through penalty earlier, so he might have been a little bit out of place with where he was there. He has come back out of the pits without taking a longer stop, so you might have just got away with that, you know. Fausto Pinto's getting away with this at the moment, though. Fantastic job. Gary Tall did go back out on track, and it's still out there, so good on Gary for getting on with it. Must have been a very, very frustrating situation, but like Mark Baxter Jones said in the chat, it was a very 50-50 incident. Looked like one of them went up, one of them came down, and two cars met. Well, unfortunately, in the unfair world of motorsport, one of them carried on, and one of them lost out big time. So these guys all stick together like the red arrows down the straight. Look at Dan Bathy getting that run there. He's got a mega run on the other two in front. He can be a good second and a half back and make it back up. Whoa! Looked like Fausto Pinto went a bit too Fasto Pinto into the first corner for a second there. As whoa! Whoa, Ian Hannon and João Estevez. Oh, that's a big hit. That has literally snapped the right rear on Ian Hannon's car. And João Estevez rolls past in sort of, well, disagreement. Oh, what? Oh, there was no need. No need whatsoever. And look, for poor Ian Hannon, he goes straight on and clips the end of the barrier. João Estevez comes over to the left when there's not really a need to. He's on the yellow line and João goes left and, well, big contact. It's a massive hit for João Estevez as well. Ian Hannon will not be chuffed with that one. You do get this sometimes, though, with high-speed racing on these sorts of circuits. You know, minuscule movements can make such a difference and cause big, big contact. But the racing must continue. João Estevez is in the pits and being overtaken by the drivers that are continuing on. Gary Tall will overtake him soon. So far in the race, though, we've lost Hopley and Kershaw and Ian Hannon. Other than that, though, everybody's still going despite the some of the mad driving that has gone on. Apologies as well for no logos in the top right this evening. There is usually a slideshow up there with the logos, but it has broken, and as we saw at Sebring, it likes to pop all the logos up at full size, so I apologise for that. And of course apologise to the series partners and sponsors as well, who we must thank because they are an amazing bunch of people. The Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge is brought to you by Chaz Draycott Media, Blinds to Go, Digital Motor Art, Orris Digital, Crockery Direct, Mydas Simulations, and Shark eBikes. As mentioned, unfortunately, their logo's not in our top right of the screen this evening, but they are well represented as, oh goodness me. Ouch. What on earth happened here? So Paul Goffin and Byron Crawford came together somehow. Byron's got a very slow run onto the banking. Goes one way then the other. That's all fair in love and war. Byron is now in front. Paul gets a good run and will now get the inevitable slipstream. Doesn't look like a massive amount from these little GT4 Caymans, does it? Now Byron is making sure that Paul stays all the way up there. They're just going to magnetise together, aren't they? Oh, I think... Again, it's a tough one, but I think maybe Byron just came down a little bit too... Just came up a little bit too far there. He was following the line of the car in front by the look of it, and with the car in front taking its own line without a car next to it, don't think that was going to work. Fausto Pinto, though, is definitely... I mean, you can't say boo to a ghost, but Dan Bathy as well has been amazing, it must be said. But Fausto Pinto, other than the incident we saw earlier with Gary Tall, has been my driver of the day. I think if you take that into consideration, it's got to be Dan Bathy so far. Let us know if you've got anybody that you think would be, if we did do driver of the day. It's not really a technical sort of award that we vote for, really, but the series organisers choose a driver of the day after each race. I think I'd have to give it to Dan Bathy so far, really. He's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, Ed May, we don't like to really give driver of the day out to the race winner because it seems a little bit inevitable and a bit obvious, doesn't it? But Ed May is 22 seconds clear of Fausto Pinto. Like, Ed is absolutely just gone. He is just gone. It's fantastic to see. This young man is very, very quick in these GT4 cars, especially in this Aston Martin as well. I can't imagine it'll be too long until we see a second pit stop from Ed May. There are the stops on the left. Simon Povey has done 2. He might have to do a splash and dash. Stephen Haley might make it to the end from where he is, so he could gain quite a lot here. Well, the top 4 at least have done 1 stop. 6th, 7th and 8th, 1 stop. But this is... I mean, look, there's nobody around him. Nobody around him whatsoever. Fantastic stuff by Ed May so far. Have a look at the blimp cam. You can see the massive crowds that we've got here at Daytona. Everybody loving it. Look at that shot as the car goes down the straight there. The shadows doing their thing. You go, iRacing. You go. Look at that. Still. It's great to be here at Daytona with this championship. It's wonderful to come to these large circuits and epic venues. Look at that cutback there from Heinz Mayer. Fantastic fight he's having with Mike Rowe. The two of them have been glued together for quite a bit. Mike's just hidden behind our timing tower. There he is. We go to the left rear suspension. You get this great shot of the banking. Look at that. And here comes Mike Rowe. That Gulf Porsche doing a good job. But yeah, that BMW, as Mark Baxter-Jones said, it's a very fast car in a straight line. The big old box. Now who's going to concede here? Nobody. Mike Rowe says, go on then. I'll have that. John Roberts wants a piece of this as well. He comes through in the not very camouflaged Aston Martin. At least it's not as dark here as it was at Sebring. It's certainly an entertaining one. Here comes the move. You can hear there's another car in this. There's another car involved here, I'm sure. It sounded like it was behind us. But he's gone down the inside of Heinz Mayer. Just kisses the back of Mike Rowe. Oh no, it's a strike. Oh, it's a strike. And oh, John Roberts has even had contact with... Oh, that was Stuart Clark as well. And John has parked the car at the side of the road, obviously stating that he wants to let these guys go again. Oh, it's just Mike Rowe just braking a little bit earlier than John Roberts expected there. And then Mike, the car gets out of shape, he clips the grass, nails Heinz Mayer in the door. And then I think John wanted to just let the car go wide and get out of the way to let them back through and let Stuart Clark go, but it was all, with all good intents and purposes, but it all just fell to pot, I'm afraid. Such a shame. But nothing ever goes completely straightforward in motorsport, does it? It is what it is, I'm afraid. So what do you all think of the settings so far? I mean, I've really enjoyed these sort of day into night races. I think they've been fantastic to watch. I love seeing the progression, but we're going to dial it back about an hour in sim so that in maybe the last sort of 15 minutes it gets really dark. about as dark as it is now, but don't forget that this is a floodlit circuit, so we want it to be almost nighttime when the race is finished, but for the majority of it, you know, we get the golden shiny conditions as it goes on. Anyway, enough about that, because Fausto Pinto, he wants gold shiny conditions in a race win, but he's not quite with Ed May at the moment, to say the least. Ed May into the pits then for his second and final stop. It's been a very straightforward affair for Ed. Great battle near the beginning of the race, and since then he has not looked back. Almost 24 seconds to the good. Well, over 24 seconds over Fausto Pinto and the rest of them. Tom Slater is going to carry on. He's going to carry on and do another lap. So too is Dan Bathy. And so too is Paul Stout, who's involved in that one there. Mark Johnson has just gone off at the bus stop. Back onto the road he goes after a little excursion. But yeah, I'm glad you agree, actually, Colin, because, you know, it's just nice to see a bit more of that time progression during the race rather than it go dark early on and be dark for the majority of the race. So what we're going to do is late afternoon and then take it back an hour, basically. So I'll check what the late afternoon setting is, what time it makes it in the sim, and then just wind it back an hour. So, bunch of cars pitting now. Tom Slater is yet to pit. So too is Dan Bathy, but just these two have carried on. The DBTRS guys have done a great job so far in this race. So, what can these guys make of this now? That's the question. What is this extra lap going to give them in terms of an advantage? There's a bit of shimmying around going on. You can see the pit stops being completed here. Mayer and Coleman just completing their 2 stops now. And then it is literally just these pair, and that's it. Importantly, though, Ed May is behind Simon Povey by 2 seconds. There is Simon. A sunrise race would be good, yeah, definitely agree with that. See what time the sun rises and then wind it forward an hour, let's say. Drivers may complain, though, that we have we have conditions getting warmer. We'll have to test that, I think. Could have morning and then -1 hour, so we get the sunrise. Now, obviously, Simon Povey is going to pit. Here's Tom Slater and Dan. Oh, Tom's done it again. He's overshot his box. Where is James Cummings? Because he's leading this train from before. He actually saved a lot of fuel. Mike Rose just on the bottom of the apron there, getting out of the way. Now, Dan Bathy has got moving here. Dan Bathy is already making his way down the pit lane. You can just see him there on the left before the rearview mirror covered it up. Fausto Pinto is 3 seconds behind us here in James Cummings' car. There is Tom Slater. There's Paul Stout. There is Dan Bathy. But Dan is stuck behind Jared Coleman, who is coming out of the pit lane. And I don't think that's going to do him any good. Let's have a look. This is very close, because there is Dan on the right. There is James Cummings down the inside, and through he goes. But Dan's going to get straight on this now and fight with him, because don't forget, there is slipstream, so it's going to keep them together. It doesn't mean that this is over by any stretch of the imagination. Fausto Pinto is just ahead of Tom Slater now as well, so Fausto's down to 5th place, but he'll still be pretty happy with that one. Gary Tull is fighting for 11th place with Ralph Mayer, who, by the way, is the biggest mover in the field by a long shot. I'll show you the gains and losses on the left-hand side. 15 places gained for Ralph Mayer. Great drive so far from him. Patching has gained 10 spots as well. Gary Tull just doing a little bit of moving around here, just to try and get as close as possible to Ralph's car. Maybe get a bit of side draft. It does work in iRacing, but it's very minimal. But we've lost a couple more drivers, unfortunately. Cars no longer moving are Byron Crawford, Paul Goffin, João Estevez, Ian Hannon, Stephen Kershaw and Andy Hopley. João Estevez is actually coming out of the pits. Paul Goffin has been sat in the pits for a while. Mike Rowe, though, he is just doing his normal stop. João Estevez has actually stopped. And, yeah, he's put the car back to the pits. He's left the pit lane. And then he's decided to pull it over, I'm afraid. And that is that. Simon Povey is back in. Simon Povey has pitted. But now look at this. He's on his way back out. He's only taken a splash and dash of 11 seconds. And whoa! Someone's engine's just gone in the pit lane. Not quite sure who that was. Might have been Andy Hopley's, you know. But still, let's not look at this, Chaz. Simon Povey has come straight back out into this. That's Jared Coleman just in front of him. That is lap traffic. But then James Cummings ahead of that is the next car for position. So Simon Povey has somehow managed to make it work. He's ahead of Fausto Pinto and Tom Slater. They're just behind. Povey, despite the spin earlier on, has somehow made this work. That is amazing. Simon Povey has really shown himself to be a sort of master of strategies this season already, and we're only in the third race. But he's definitely one of the guys to beat, is he not? So, championship leader, 4th place at the moment, James Cummings and Dan Bathy, who has gained 11 spots. Great driving. Gary Tall is in the pits for another splash and dash as well. Johnny Elia here all over the back of Mark Johnson. These are the final 2 spots inside the top 10, and they're going at it hammer and tongs. But I think, other than if you take Ed May out of the equation, Dan Bathy is my driver of the race so far. 11 places gained. A little bit of damage on that rear wing as well by the look of it. There might have been some contact here or there. Nothing untoward though, really. Gary Tall still in the pits and still dropping down. You can see him on the left-hand side in 15th place at the moment. He's in his pit box and he should be leaving it any second, but seems like quite a long stop for Gary Tall. Right now, Simon Povey has just made it up into 2nd place. Incredible stuff. And yes, definitely, Oliver Carwadine has been very under the radar in this race. He is flying. He's in 7th position at the moment. He's just been off the back of this fight for quite a bit of the race, but great consistency by Oliver Carwadine. His best lap is a 152.86. Ed May's best lap is a 152.73, so he's not even far off the race leader's fastest time. But Simon Povey's fastest lap, I'm sorry to put it down, is a 152.2. Unbelievable. Simon has made this work, that is for sure. But this is the wonderful thing about these sorts of races when there are pit stops involved, you know, you're never completely down and out of it. It's great to see drivers really pushing all the way through and making the most of anything that gets thrown their way. But this is the battle now. So far this season, we've had Dan Bathy finish in 10th place and 5th place. He was 5th at Road Atlanta, 10th at Sebring. He's on his way to his best finish of the season. James Cummings, well, he finished 14th at Road Atlanta. It was a bit of an underwhelming performance from him after being near the front early on, but he finished 5th and got 25 points at Sebring. He's on his way to improve that as well. We've got a lot of battles going on. We've got this little duo, Mark Johnson and Johnny Elia. We've then got David Patching and Andrew Marston glued together. Porsche versus McLaren, very close indeed. And Paul Stout and Andrew Soper having a little scrap as well. Need to come back to this though, I think. Get the boss man some airtime, and David Patching in that gorgeous green Cayman. Looks like Andy just had a bit of a compromised run out of the International Horseshoe there, but still, that McLaren looks wonderful in that livery, doesn't it? I think that's another one of Stephen Haley's liveries, one of the digital motor art cars. He certainly knows what he's doing, that boy, doesn't he? It's great. So 5 minutes left then. Not many laps at all now, considering that Ed May is halfway round a lap as well. He's 28 seconds clear. 28 seconds clear of Simon Povey. I'll just show you how far that is. Ed is just coming into the bus stop there. He's the yellow dot on your screen. Simon Povey has only just got onto the banking, look. That is absolutely ridiculous, Ed May. And he's done that on merit. You know, the drivers behind have all been battling. Simon's had his own issue, but he's shown that he can make his way back through the field and fight with them. Ed is definitely listening because he's flashing his lights. He does this. He listens to the broadcast while it's on, bless him. But there you go. A flash of the lights again from Ed. Don't go below that little yellow line, sunshine. Still, fantastic race so far from him. Dan Bathy and James Cummings, they'll be loving this fight as well. They will be absolutely loving being a part of this one. The slipstream, though, I mean, look at Simon Povey's pace on the infield. He stretches out this gap, so they can't actually get that close. It's half a second, though, to each of them. The gap from Bathy to Povey is smaller than it is from James Cummings to Dan Bathy. But look, Povey moving around to try and break that slipstream. It's gone down from nearly 6/10 out of the bus stop to almost nothing now as you see it. As they come into the first corner. So close to the wall there, Simon Povey. Really gets close to scraping it, but Simon's always so precise with his driving. 3 minutes to go in this race. So that means, I'm pretty sure that we will get one more lap after this one from Ed May. Love seeing these cars at night as well. It really shows off the spec maps on these cars, doesn't it? All of the matte sections and the glossy sections, all the metallic bits that you see, certainly displays how detailed these liveries are and how good they look, and how good iRacing looks in general. You know, they've done an amazing job with the visuals over the last couple of years to really improve the sim. But we hope you've enjoyed the broadcast so far. Hope that you'll be joining me for more of them as well. I always love doing this championship. I've been helping run it with Andy Marston, and it has been fantastic fun already, and this is only round 3 out of 10. Sorry, 12. I was going to say, I thought I had that wrong. 12 rounds of this championship, so after we complete this one, we will just be at the quarter-way mark of the season. Now this is going to get intriguing because Heinz Mayer and Andrew Marston are fighting for position, and these guys, well, they need to come through to lap them. Simon Povey's not scared of going through the middle. We've seen that already tonight. Dan Bathy and James Cummings just cannot live with him through that part there, can they? They just cannot live with him. Povey has just been unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Now I want to see how this gets negotiated. That's Dan Bathy down the inside of Andrew Marston. Don't hit the boss man. James Cummings is down the inside as well. Thank you very much, Colin. Much appreciated, mate. Glad you enjoy the broadcasts. It's good to have you in the chat for each and every one of them, my friend. James Cummings, though, he's, well, he could sniff a podium. That's the thing. He could sniff a podium right now. That's all he wants. Just wants to get that one extra position. Stephen Haley has had to come into the pits again. Not sure if that's a splash and dash because he was slightly out of sync with the pit stops or what, but we'll have to wait and see. One thing we have to see is where Ed May is and how long he has got left. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the final lap for Ed May. Oh, someone's just had a big moment there. I think that was Ralph Meyer. Yeah, you could hear the car go down through the gears. Look at Ed, though, beaming his way out of the bus stop. And he's got 20 seconds, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be it. He's doing a bit of waving on the banking as well. And I tell you what, everybody, I'd like to see a lot of clap emojis in chat. He's a great friend of mine, is Ed May, fellow commentator as well. Very quick boy, and what a performance tonight by Edward May. Take a bow, son. It's a win on the debut for the Aston Martin Vantage in the SRM GT4 Challenge. Unbelievable drive by Ed May. That was absolutely faultless. We haven't seen a win that convincing yet this season, it has to be said. Simon Povey as well. Oh my lord, can anything stop this man? He had a spin very early on and he takes second place, but James Cummings is just going to beat Dan Bathy to the line. Oh, 4,000ths of a second in it. Dan Bathy finishes 4th. James Cummings grabs a podium. Fausto Pinto, 5th place. What a drive from him. Tom Slater is next up. Let's see some battles as drivers come across the line then. This is the fun bit about Daytona. You get the slipstreaming, and you get the positions changing at the end. This could go either way. This is Johnny Elia trying to find a way around Mark Johnson. Mark puts the car in the middle of the road. Doesn't leave him enough room to go underneath him. Johnny has to go high. He goes up on the right-hand side. Mark moves up to try and cover it off. It's not going to be enough. I think Johnny's just going to pip him to the post, and he does. Johnny gets there. And, well, that was actually the last battle to cross the line, to be honest with you. But, oh, my life. I'll tell you one thing for free as I restart that song. Ed May, unbelievable performance tonight. Absolutely unbelievable. Simon Povey as well. What a guy. What a guy. That was a hell of a recovery. Incredible to get the points out of it. James Cummings' first podium of the season as well. Very well deserved by James. And Fausto Pinto, well, gets a BMW into 5th place. I don't condone that, though, unfortunately, Mr. Tall. I'm not sure whether that was down to Fausto not leaving the room there either, but I don't agree with that. The light flashing, maybe. The contact, no. But still, what a phenomenal night in the championship, it has to be said. We do have official results. Edward May taking an unbelievably convincing victory. 26-second win for Ed May. H Motorsports' Andy Hopley will be pleased with that one after having a tough night of his own. Simon Povey, more great championship points in 2nd, equaling his worst result of the season. James Cummings finishes 3rd, his first podium, just ahead of Dan Bathy. Fausto Pinto gets the top 5 for BMW and for Petrol Tuga. That'll do them a lot of good. Tom Slater is 6th ahead of Oliver Carwadine, with Johnny Elia in 8th. Then it's Mark Johnson 9th. Stephen Haley rounds out your 10 and the cars that finished on the lead lap. Next up is Ralph Mayer with John Roberts in 12th. Good recovery from John. David Patching gets 13th place ahead of Heinz Mayer, who in the end, it was Ralph Mayer, gained 15 places. Heinz gained 7, so great by both the Mayers tonight. It's Andrew Marston 15th. He gets some points on the board. Jared Coleman as well. Paul Stout and Gary Tall recovers to 18th to get points of his own. Andrew Soper is 19th. Stuart Clark rounds out the points finishes. And then after that, I believe it's all drivers that did not finish. Mike Rowe actually did cross the line 2 laps down. Then it was the drivers that didn't finish. Paul Goffin, Byron Crawford, João Estevez, Ian Hannon, Steve Kershaw and Andy Hopley. Well, quite the attritional race, that one, to be honest with you. But very, very entertaining indeed. Do you not agree? That was a hell of a lot of fun. A hell of a lot of fun. We'll be just trying to get back to the green flag so we can have some slow-mo shots and have a chat with, well, the one and only, the absolute dominator tonight, Ed May. Ed, I mean, where did that come from? I mean, we know you've been quick this season, but that was just a sublime performance, mate. You must be, well, shaking right now. That was great.
Yeah, mate, I'm absolutely buzzing. I mean, I definitely was helped with incidents in behind me in the first 5 or so laps, but I mean, I was really enjoying a good fight I was having with one of the other Astons. I think it was Stephen Harley, who was properly going at me for a few laps. Shame that couldn't have lasted the whole race, but mate, I was just at one with the car. I don't know what it is about this Aston, but it just suits me down to the ground. I'm loving it.
Well, it certainly looked like you had a good wrangle of it as well, to be honest with you, mate. I mean, into turn 1, everybody was a little bit squirrely at points. You know, everyone ran wide at least once, but every single time we came to it just looked like it was planted. Is it a car that you've all... I mean, I think you said you were always excited to get in this car, but is it what you expected it to be? Did you think it'd be a car that you got on with that well?
Well, you and I both know, Chaz, the first day that the Aston was announced, I immediately messaged you as soon as I saw it. Yeah. I'm getting in that. If we're allowed to drive it in the GT4 Challenge, Sim Race Magazine and stuff, I'm all for it. So I sent you the message right away, and I wouldn't have minded if it was slow, if it was fast. It looks, you know, the dog's unmentionables. It's absolutely brilliant to look at, brilliant to drive. It feels alive when you're actually going through the corners. Whereas with the McLaren, after 4 or so laps, it'd drop off and be a lot lethargic, similar to the BMW. And I mean, I didn't want it to be the Porsche Championship. I wanted a bit of variety into it. So I thought, you know what, Aston, let's go. And it's just a dream to drive. Honestly, really, really fun. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to keep up with the Porsches over a race distance, but hot lapping is brilliant.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, mate. The new livery as well, and obviously with the support of Andy Hopley of H Motorsport, he's certainly turned you into a bit of a missile, to be honest. It's absolutely great to see. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to before you go?
Yeah, of course. Like you mentioned, my teammate Hopley. Shame about what happened to his race, but he was basically my crew chief for the rest of it. He could have thrown in the towel, he could have sodded off, but no, he stuck with me and helped me out, able to keep me calm, keep me focused, keep me updated on everyone in behind, and just allow me to keep churning out those laps and get the gap to where it was at the end. And of course, Hope and Home for Children, you can see it all over the side of the car. Wonderful charity, fully deserving of your support if you can give it. But other than that, Chaz, I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
You will indeed, mate. Thank you once again, Ed. Fantastic performance, mate. Look forward to more of that.
Yeah, cheers, mate. You too. See ya.
Cheers. Well, there you go. A very convincing win tonight by Ed May. What an absolutely awesome performance it was. And to be honest, he wasn't the only one that put in an absolute belter of a performance tonight. I'm joined by eventual 11th place finisher Ralph Mayer, who gained 15 spots tonight and was the highest mover in the order. Ralph, you must be really pleased with that one. There was nothing fragile about that performance, was there?
Hey Chaz, I'm as surprised as you are, absolutely. I was absolutely terrified the last few laps that I was going to mess it up, so I have to admit it was a great journey. I must admit I was so amped when we got across the line, definitely.
And I mean, one of the main talking points tonight was that the Porsche just didn't quite have the top end of the other cars, but did you feel that as soon as you had some slipstream it was a level playing field, or did you think there was still a bit of a disadvantage?
I tell you what, every time I had a BMW or a McLaren behind me, I kind of just thought, right, if I can keep up with them, in their slipstream, I might have a chance. And that's kind of what I did. So, Jared, thank you so much, mate. I was behind him, drafting him like crazy. And I have to admit, he's probably piggybacked me for about 10 laps, I would say. So...
Well, it certainly looked like a hell of a fun race to be a part of, mate. And Daytona, I mean, it's always a great place to go to. Is it a circuit that you were looking forward to from the get-go?
No, it's my first time here. So I have to admit, corner one was a big surprise for me, just how hard it is.
Yeah.
I know it's quite a toughie, but wow, it is a toughie. So I have to admit, I've enjoyed this race so much. It's just been really awesome. A lot of practice went into it, that's for sure.
Well, it certainly paid off, mate. Some good championship points, plenty of places gained, the most in the field as well. I think the next person down gained 11. That was David Patching. You gained 15 tonight, so an amazing drive. Next time round, we cross the river. We cross the pond and go to Silverstone. Is that circuit you're looking forward to?
I am. I'm hoping I can master the sort of Maggots and Beckett's. That's definitely one on my hit list to try and get right. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a great track.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing how well you get on there, Ralph. Is there anybody you'd like to give a quick thanks to while I've got you?
My wingman Heinz, unfortunately we were supposed to wingman the quali, but he left me behind after I spun. I was absolutely gutted, but thanks for the practice, Heinz. It was great practicing with you. To all the sponsors, guys, thank you so much for making this happen. Chaz, thank you so much for all the commentary. You make it such a great event, so thank you to everyone involved. It's been awesome. Thank you so much.
Great stuff, Ralph.
Oh, and congratulations to Ed, by the way. Congrats to Ed. Great race.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words, Ralph. Great to speak to you, mate, and we look forward to seeing you at Silverstone.
Awesome, thank you.
Cheers. And we'll grab one more, shall we? I tell you what, one driver that I want to speak to is Mr. Haley. Just finished inside the top 10 after that one. After what was a lively evening at Daytona, Stephen. The Aston Martin gang at the front all sort of self-destructed. But from that point on, I imagine it was quite exciting still because of the comeback drive. Talk us through it.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, I mean, a decent start, I think, and to kind of stick with Ed on the first lap, and was it Simon who was with us as well? That was quite fun, and then watching them kind of go a little bit awry on the beginning of lap 2 into the first corner. I think I managed to sneak into the lead purely by a little bit. But unfortunately, it was short-lived. Coming out of the bus stop chicane, I got a corner cut on the exit, and I didn't quite get down and serve it in time. So give me a 40-second stop go. So going from before the race, I wanted to. I was happy with the top 10 to the beginning of the race, thinking I could be top 3. Back to hoping to be back in the top 10 again.
Yeah, it's interesting how these races develop, isn't it, to be honest with you, because of all the different elements to an endurance race. It certainly makes it entertaining, though, not just for broadcasters, but for drivers as well, because there's always developing objectives, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you know, Daytona in particular, it's a really cool track to race on, because obviously you've got the long back straight, so as long as you're in a gaggle of cars, as it were, you've got chance to kind of eke up to the guys who were perhaps further in front, unless you do what I did and get a drive through or whatever, a stop going, and you're kind of in the middle of no man's land. It was a bit of a bummer, to be fair, because I had 3 laps to serve it, and I served it on the second lap. Right. And coming into the end of the race, the lap before the last lap, I had to go in and refuel.
Oh no.
So it could have been an 8th or 7th or whatever it was, but I'll settle for 10th.
Well, still, championship points are the aim of the game, I guess, in something like this. Still a lot of rounds to go, so we're still early on. Silverstone next, though. We go across the pond, back to good old Blighty, to a home race, essentially, for you, Stephen. Are you looking forward to that one?
Oh, definitely. I love Silverstone. And I'm looking forward to that one. So hopefully we'll be able to pick up some more points and maybe have a clean race.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed, mate. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to while I've got you?
The wife, if she's listening, and a good thank you to all the organisers and yourself, Chaz. Thanks very much, mate.
Thank you very much indeed. Sorry, I thought I was going to go on a bit longer then, so I just nearly choked on my own drink trying to stop. Either way, thank you very much, Stephen. It's been a pleasure once again to see your antics on track, mate. Very entertaining as ever. And, well, we look forward to seeing you at Silverstone, mate.
Cheers, Chaz. See you next time.
Cheers. Fantastic stuff then. Well, another broadcast comes to an end. Another amazing night of racing. Ed May absolutely dominates the competition tonight. Takes his first win of the season. Simon Povey, well, I mean, look at the shot right here. To come from this moment and come back and finish second is an incredible comeback drive. James Cummings gets fantastic consistency, absolutely nailed on the head, and steals the podium from Dan Bathy at the end. Massive shout out to Dan Bathy as well for a mega performance, and Ralph Mayer, most places gained in the entire field. It's certainly been a lot of fun to bring this action to you once again there, everybody. I've been Chaz Draycott. This has been the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, and I hope you will join me in 2 weeks' time as we head to Silverstone. For now, it's good night, everybody.
Opportunistic, still rubbing panels as they go together. It's folded the wing mirror in on Gerardo's car.
Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it.